Chapter 8. The Journey Begins. Lining up. The scent of jasmine and fig leaves still lingered in the air from the night before. Dinah's wedding had been a quiet celebration, intimate, dignified, healing. Now, just hours later, the garden was empty, the linens packed away, and the house of Joseph stood once again in silence. But outside, the valley stirred with life. The caravan was forming, row by row, donkeys loaded with supplies, carts creaking under the weight of water jars and grain. Oxen stood tethered and calm. At the center, under a shaded canopy woven from reeds and royal linen, Israel's embalmed body lay in honor, perfumed and carefully wrapped for the journey. The air was solemn, not mournful. The time for weeping had passed. 70 days had come and gone. Now, duty and reverence guided their steps. Joseph stood near the front of the procession, dressed simply, though the leather of his belt still bore the crest of Pharaoh's court. He was not vizier today. He was only a son. At his side stood Ephraim and Manasseh, their cloaks fitted for travel, their eyes watchful, no longer boys of the court, but men of Israel, joining their uncles not in ceremony, but in solidarity. There was no tension in the air, no unspoken guilt, no hidden rivalry. The brothers of Israel stood together, 12 sons bound, not by blood alone, but by purpose. Joseph let his gaze pass from Reuben to Benjamin, pausing on each face before settling on Ephraim and Manasseh, his sons, now counted among their uncles. There had been a time he thought this would never happen. "Your father would be proud," Reuben said softly to Joseph, adjusting the strap of his pack. "This is how he would have wanted it." Joseph nodded. He always looked east. Joseph scanned the line, aware that not all dangers wore uniforms. The path ahead held more than dust and heat. Some threats came cloaked in silence. Simeon approached Manasseh, offering him a flask. "Keep this close. You'll dry out quicker than you think once we're past the Nile." Levi motioned to Ephraim. "You ride with me near the middle. It's the safest place for the youngest." Ephraim smiled. "Then I'll stay close." Benjamin laughed. "You may be young in years, but in height, you've passed half of us." Laughter rolled through the group, low and rich, grounding them all in something rare, joy, even on the edge of farewell. Final farewells. Asenath had said her goodbyes the night before, wrapping her arms around each of her sons, whispering a separate prayer into each ear. She had kissed Joseph's brow and whispered, "Leave them well." Now, Dinah stood silently near the palace gate, with Zilpah beside her and the 2 girls, Nari and Kaya, clutching her robe. She would not go with them. She had made her peace. Her life was here now, but she watched. Joseph met her gaze from afar and offered a quiet nod. Then, just as Zebulun reached for the reins of his beast, Dinah stepped forward, drawing something small from the fold of her shawl. It was a woven strip of blue thread, knotted with tiny beads and a single pressed sprig of hyssop. "Place this at our mother's grave," she said softly, handing it to Zebulun. "She was not perfect, but she was mine, and I was hers." Zebulun looked at her, eyes glinting, then pulled her into a firm embrace. "I will place it with honor," he murmured. Not far off, Zilpah watched her daughter and son embrace, then turned to her sons, Gad and Asher, tightening the cords on their packs with practiced hands. "Gad," she said, laying her palm on his chest, "you were born from the rush of battle. Let that fire protect your brothers." Then to Asher, "And you, my joy, bring light even when the road grows dark. Your laughter is a shield of its own." She kissed each of them on the brow. "Go and return." "Ready?" Amanacht, the head of Joseph's escort, asked. Joseph looked out over the caravan. Yes, begin the march. The caravan. The first day's ride was steady and uneventful. They moved through familiar roads, past Egyptian fortresses and known watering points. The terrain was soft, the air warm but manageable. At the center of the line, the bier moved slowly, honored by all who passed it. The soldiers flanked it without needing orders. The brothers rotated positions, some in front, others walking beside the body, each taking turns to honor their father in silence. Amidst the servants, 2 men traveled quietly. Neither wore Egyptian colors, nor did they stand out. Their names had been given to the court captain days ago, scribes supposedly, tasked with documenting the burial journey on behalf of Pharaoh. No one questioned them. They bore Pharaoh's seal, and that was enough. They spoke little. One watched the brothers carefully, taking mental notes. The other remained near the pack animals, listening, always listening. They asked no questions. They drew no attention. No one knew that their true orders came not from Pharaoh, but from the priests. And those orders were simple. Watch for weakness, wait for the moment, then strike. Nightfall, a new kind of brotherhood. They made camp at the edge of the desert near an old well once favored by trading caravans. Fires popped as dry wood caught flame. The scent of roasting lentils mingled with the early tang of oiled leather and sand. Overhead, constellations shifted slowly across the sky, ancient and indifferent. Joseph sat with his brothers around the low fire, its glow softening the lines on their faces. Ephraim and Manasseh sat close, listening, learning. Reuben, watching them, leaned toward Simeon and murmured, "Do you see it, Ephraim? The shape of his jaw, just like our father, and Manasseh's eyes when he listens." Simeon gave a quiet grunt of agreement. It's in them. Israel lives in them too. Joseph turned slightly, catching only the tone, not the words, but he smiled nonetheless. Judah told a story about a donkey that once outran 2 camels and nearly tossed Naphtali into a well. Benjamin laughed so hard he spilled his wine. Even Simeon smiled. There was no bitterness left, no old wounds reopened, only a family restored. Ephraim leaned toward Joseph, voice low. "It feels like we've always belonged." "You have," Joseph replied. "You always have." Watchers in the shadows. They had pitched their small tent near the far edge of the camp, close enough to see the brothers gathered around their fires, but far enough to remain unnoticed. A dying fire crackled between them, casting jagged shadows across their cloaks. The younger of the 2, narrow-eyed and wiry, sat sharpening a dagger with deliberate strokes. His voice broke the silence first. "They're stronger than I thought," he murmured. "There's no fracture in them now, no resentment, not even fear." The older one, broader in the shoulders, his skin weathered from years under Egypt's sun, nodded once, pulling his hood further down. "Time binds men together, especially when their gods are involved." The younger scoffed. "And yet they serve a God who hides in tents, while we serve one who walks in temples of stone." The older man glanced sideways, his voice low and bitter. "That hidden God made a slave into a ruler. Never forget that." Silence settled again, thick and knowing. Finally, the younger asked, "You ever seen him before, Joseph?" "Once," the older man said, "long ago. Before Pharaoh raised him, before the famine, he stood beside the high priest of Amon and made him look like a fool in front of the entire court." A long pause. "I saw Senmut Ra's face afterward. That day marked the beginning of the end for us. The younger man leaned in slightly. You think he knows who we are? No, the elder replied, and that mistake will end his life. The younger sheathed his blade, eyes reflecting the low orange glow on the fire. What happens if we fail? The older man's jaw tensed. Failure is not part of the command. The high priest said it plainly. No Hebrew shall rise again. Let Joseph be the last. Let no seed of Israel rule in Egypt. The younger's brow furrowed. Even if he's honored by Pharaoh? The older leaned in close. Pharaohs die. Gods remain. And the house of Amon forgets nothing. They sat in silence again, the crackling of embers the only sound between them. The younger finally spoke. We've done this before. Crete and Muru. The older nodded, and each time we made it look like the wind took them. Their eyes turned once more to the main fire, where Joseph laughed quietly with Ephraim, Manasseh, and his brothers, faces glowing in the light of fire, unaware. The younger whispered, And when will the wind rise again? The older smiled faintly. When the tent of mourning becomes a procession of pride. Then they said no more. Their fire burned low. Their faces vanished into the night.
You've been listening to the Moses Chronicles Prelude, narrated by M. McIntosh. To explore the full audiobook, purchase it in digital or printed form, or discover companion writings, visit moseschronicles.com. For more sacred fiction, subscribe and journey with us through promises, exile, and deliverance. New chapters are released weekly. Until then, may the quiet still speak.